Hey guys, I'm Mason.
And I'm Jared.
And we are here today to talk to you about my RCI off-road bed rack. I purchased the half rack size and I'm going to run it with the Tuxedo tonneau cover underneath, which I'm pretty excited about.
So full disclosure, we do not work with RCI Off-Road. We are not sponsored by RCI Off-Road. We purchased this product on our own, thinking that it was going to work for our application and for the adventures that we're going to go on.
Yeah, and Jared and I are going to install this rack and see how that install goes. But we are not professional mechanics. We do have a lot of tools and equipment and safety precautions. But if you don't have that, make sure you get some help.
We also had a little bit of a bumpy road procuring the bed rack itself and the fit and finish on some of the products. Some of our other friends in the four-wheeling scene ran into the same issues. So just make sure you're doing your due diligence to check everything out once you get it. Aside from that, let's show you how it's done.
Cheers.
Here you guys can see the final product. This is the bed rack installed here on this 2008 Tundra. We're using two bracing rails across the top because this will eventually be used for a rooftop tent. There's some different hardware that's included. Obviously a lot of carriage bolts, washers, lock washers, and nuts. You'll also receive 6 standard bolts. You can see them at the bottom of the frame. Those are just going to be used for bracing it to your actual bed. Some of the parts you'll receive as well are the crossbars. You can see that they're just loosely attached right now to the legs for the bed rack. Those legs are going to set on top of the Z brackets and the brackets for the tonneau cover. You'll see those here in a little bit. Very easy to install. We recommend, just from our experience, assembling these loosely so that you can adjust them for the overall fit on your bed. You'll also receive either 1 or 2 of these rails that brace across the top. You can identify them just by the slots that allow them to fit, and then you'll also have a couple side rails. We're going to use ours for just mounting Rotopacks, fuel, and water, but these are also adjustable. You can see all of these have slats to allow everything to slide up and down. The legs here, like I said, are just loosely attached to the crossbars so that we can slide them in and out. And then those rails that I was showing you earlier that are going to run lengthwise on the bed will be braced with 4 bolts and then fastened to these slats that I'm pointing to right here.
So we want to make sure that we secure these Z clamps down. These are going to make it possible for us to have a bed or a tonneau cover going inside the bed rack. So my lovely dad here is going to help us out, and he is going to drill some holes in here. We're going to secure them with bolt, well, a hole here. We're going to secure it with a bolt, and then the adapter will mount on the back side. So first we got to drill the hole. Okay, so now we have our hole drilled. We are going to put on our Z bracket. We have found that the plastic on my bed is a little bit thick, so we try to thread the bolt first, and because there's really not a lot of wiggle room under there, they aren't super long, so we gotta get it all the way down, thread it through a little bit, and then we're gonna slide the other bracket inside, and you're gonna set it up like this. You have your washer, and then this little bolt or nut, whatever. You are going to want one of these socket wrenches. You don't have a lot of room underneath this lip, so you can't really get a lot of the other ones to get up there. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, an opener, a box end. So.
So now that we've secured these Z brackets down just with a bolt through the top and then a nut and washer down through the bottom, we just have these tonneau cover adapters mounted up on top, just mocked up right now. These are clamped down by this bolt here, but you can see that there's also 2 slots in the back that are going to allow you to basically put a bolt, a washer, and a nut through here to mount them again. And then here in the front, you're going to have a slot here, and that's going to be where the buttresses that I just showed you are going to mount up for your actual bed rack. On this particular truck, we have a tonneau cover that does not mount to factory rails or bolt into them on the side. It's actually one that's just going to clamp to the edge of the bed here. So this is just a Truxedo cover from Truck Hero. It mounts on each side with 3 of these C-clamps. You can just bracket these either high or low depending on how you need them to fit, and then just very easily tighten them with this bolt that goes through them. I've just pre-loosened these since there's going to be so much extra material in there between the bed, this plastic cover on the rail, and then also these adapters so that we can get this bed rack on. So with this particular rail system that this tonneau cover uses as well, there's plastic brackets here that you have to feed this into, as well as just kind of set screws to adjust the tension on the cover. So I've just pre-tensioned it, and I'm just going to test fit some of these C-clamps to make sure that they attach to the bed correctly.
Alright, so now we have it all secured down, and the next step is to put the buttresses on. We're calling them buttresses. You might call them the U joint, the U shapes, the supports, the really whatever the thingamabobs. Then you're going to do your washer. Then you have a little lock washer. Then you have a nut. Goes like that. Success.
now we've lifted our buttresses up over onto the top of the truck bed, just placed them up there on top of the feet, and threaded our bolt through the back side here. You can just see it poking out right there.
This one is like all the way in.
And now we're getting our roof rails placed. So now we're just placing our bolts in these cross members, just tightening them down. We're just placing them diagonally, so one in the front where you see here, one on the back side of that, just diagonal from where we place that one. We're just doing that to make sure that we have enough hardware.
Okay, it sits there.
So now we're just getting our side rails placed. We're gonna place these at the highest position that they can be placed, just because we're thinking about probably putting some rotopacks for water or fuel on these. And we just wanna make sure that we don't have any clearance issues with these kind of little knuckles that stick out on these lower brackets. So we're just putting the bolts in from the outside in, and then obviously doing the same pattern of washer, lock washer, and nut. So our next step here is just getting these roof rails attached. Obviously it's a different day. We just noticed that some of our footage got corrupted. So I just wanted to show you guys how we attach those and how they were set up. All these we're using just 2 bolts here, and just on the opposite as well, with nuts and washers connecting them underneath. Those just got laid across. You're either gonna have 1 or 2 of those cross beams, and they can just be bolted straight down and then through each of the eyelets on each side.